Welcome back. Senator Bernie Sanders' support is rising in Wisconsin. The latest Marquette Law School poll shows Sanders leading the Democratic field for president in Wisconsin with 29%. He's followed by Mike Bloomberg at 17% and former Vice President Joe Biden at 15%. The poll also shows a tight race here in the November election. Head-to-head matchups show the race within the margin of error. Sanders leads President Trump by 2%, but the president leads Bloomberg by 1%, and President Trump and Biden are tied. So we're talking now about the poll and the changes that pollsters have made since 2016 with Marquette Law School poll director Charles Franklin. Thank you for coming in.
Good to be here. Thank you.
We've been seeing so many polls lately. We've talked about the Quinnipiac poll out that has President Trump leading every one of the Democratic opponents by at least 7 points here in Wisconsin. Clearly, that's not what you found. Yeah. Why is there that difference?
Well, each poll, this is a good thing. Each poll is done independently. We don't talk to each other before we do polls. So you really are getting independent samples and readings from different pollsters. And when one stands out as different, as Quinnipiac does this time, you can see that it's different because you also have the UW-Madison poll this week, you have ours this week, and more recently we've had Fox and the New York Times doing polling here. Most of those polls have shown a tight race, some a little better for Trump, some a little better for the Democrats. But when you get an outlier like Quinnipiac, you see it. The irony is it's to Quinnipiac's credit that they didn't try to hide those findings or deny them. They put it out. That's a sign of integrity when a pollster is willing to tell you things that maybe they personally don't think is quite right, but it's what the data showed, and that's the real responsibility of the pollster. Collect the data in the best way you can and tell what the results are, and let us, the voters, see that some of these agree and some don't agree, and make our own judgments from there.
And with all these polls out there, and I'm sure we're only going to see more as we go to November, how do we know if it's legitimate or what we should look at?
That's much more of a challenge. I think the simplest thing is, are the pollsters being transparent about what they're doing, how they did the poll, who they interviewed, and how they interviewed them? But even that, it requires some more effort from folks. I would look at places like Real Clear Politics, which has a list of all the recent polling in Wisconsin. And you may not be able to tell who's good and who's not, but you can at least see from that list how they agree or how they disagree. And then finally, actually listen to news media or read news accounts.
I like that.
Or websites. Well, you know, that really is one of the things that news does, is allow folks to talk to so-called experts about what's good and what's bad in polling.
So in 2016, you know that your poll had Hillary Clinton beating Donald Trump here in Wisconsin. Obviously, that didn't happen. Right. What changes have you made since then?
Sure. That was true of, there were over 30 polls in the state. Not one of us had Trump winning. So it's not a single poll or a single methodology that went wrong. They were all wrong. I think part of that is a late move in Trump's direction. So one of the things we're doing as we go into the fall is going to probe a little bit more for undecided voters about how are they leaning or what are their considerations. In the past, we haven't done so much of that, thinking that just letting people say they're undecided is the best representation. But at the end of 2016, over 2/3 of late deciding voters went for Trump. Of those who disliked both candidates, and that was 20% here, 75% went for Trump. So we saw a lot of late breaking movement. But it doesn't seem like there was one method that was the problem. It looks more like it was the dynamics of the campaign and how those conflicted voters at the end went very strongly to one side, when most of the time conflicted voters sort of split their vote or don't turn out at all.
Charles Franklin, thank you.
Thank you.
Next, new leadership for the DNC host committee in Milwaukee.